Before we get too far into any conversation, I want to give you a quick picture on who I am and how I operate. Because most people I work with, agents, contractors, lenders, partners, they've dealt with a ton of investors, casual buyers, and tire kickers. People who waste everyone's time, and I am not that. I've built a different kind of life because I operate differently than most people in business. And I want you to understand that before we go any deeper. I move fast. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I say I'm going to have numbers to you, I have numbers to you. I don't disappear, I don't go quiet. I do not need 3 follow-ups to move. But I also do not move recklessly. I underwrite everything. I look at the numbers from every angle before I make a decision. Cap rate, cash flow, property management holdback, CapEx, OpEx, all of it. I built a process where every deal makes sense on paper before I ever consider touching it in person. And I care about every detail. The kind of detail most people skip because it just takes time and they're trying to move on to the next thing. I don't skip it because inherently that detail is what matters when the deal works or it gets killed. I take communication seriously. If you send me something, you will hear back. If we agree on a timeline, I hold it. If something changes, I will tell you before you have to ask. And I expect the same thing for everybody that I work with. What I'm building is not a hobby. I've exited multiple businesses. I've built teams. I know the difference between owning something and running something. Real estate to me is a long-term operating business. It's not some side play or a weekend project. This is a real machine that I've built to last. I am not operating with one deal at a time. I've been part of 200 Section 8 home purchases in the last 2 years. That kind of volume simply does not happen by accident. There's a system behind it and process on how I find deals, how I underwrite them, how I structure financing, how I manage the rehab, how I place the tenants, and how the portfolio runs once it's built. Section 8 specifically is the government-backed income, recession-resistant, and it's structured to perform regardless of how the market performs. Most people avoid it because it's much more work, but I choose it because it's much more reliable. I have an entire team. People operate on specific parts of the operation so nothing falls apart. Acquisition, underwriting, rehab, management, it runs because it has to. Because I'm accountable for partners who've trusted me with their capital, and I treat every dollar like my own. And I'm on my journey to 500 homes. Not as a milestone to talk about, as a marker of what the system is capable of when it's built right and run right. The life I live is a direct result of the standards that I hold, the pressure that I put on myself, the discipline that I show up with every day, and the decisions I make when it's easier to make a different one. I fly and I drive what I want, and I operate out of spaces that reflect what I've built. It's not because I'm trying to show you something, because that's what happens when you take what you do seriously long enough. But the life is not the point. The point is I'm playing a longer game that most people in this business aren't even thinking about. I'm building something that will outlast me, something that my daughter will inherit, something that her children will benefit from. That's why I take every deal seriously, every number seriously, and every partnership seriously. So if you're working with me or considering working with me, that's who you are dealing with. Somebody who moves fast and thinks meticulously. Somebody who takes numbers seriously and follows through on what he says. Somebody who has the capital, team, systems, and track record to actually get things done. I'm not looking to convince anyone of anything. I'm just giving you the context so when we get into a conversation, you already know the level you're operating at when you're working with me. And that's Nathan Leathers.